មាជិកគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាផ្លេចមានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបំរើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរក្រុមគ្រប់គ្នាទាមទារសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទេសឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរព្រះអាទិត្យរាំងបំភ្លឺកម្ពុជាខ្មែរឯកភាពគ្នាដងស្រាយបញ្ហាយោបាយសេដ្ឋកិច្ចសង្គមអហិង្សាសពវត្តថ្លៃថ្លាជីវភាពរុងរឿងដីយើងពូជយើងភូខលយើងខ្មែរក្រោកឡើងសង្គមជាខេមរាបោះឆ្នោតឲ្យចំដល់អំណាចជូនប្រជាដើម្បីកម្ពុជារួមរឿងសេងសានជ័យយោគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិសមាជិកគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាថ្មីគ្មានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបំរើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរគ្រប់គ្នាទាមទារសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទេសឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរព្រះអាទិត្យរាំងបំភ្លឺកម្ពុជាខ្មែរឯកភាពគ្នាដងស្រាយបញ្ហាយោបាយសេដ្ឋកិច្ចសង្គមអហិង្សាសពវត្តថ្លៃថ្លាជីវភាពរុងរឿងដីយើងពូជយើងភូខលយើងខ្មែរក្រោកឡើងសង្គ្រោះជាតិខេមរាបោះឆ្នោតឲ្យចំផ្ដល់អំណាចជូនប្រជាដើម្បីកម្ពុជារួមរឿងសេងសាន
And welcome. Wasn't that a great introductions? Welcome to CNRP America live show. This is Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. Again, welcome everyone and thank you for joining our show. Today is Tuesday, July 5th, 2020. If you are in Cambodia, it is Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. I'm sorry, 2022. My name is Linda Wu and I am your host for this evening. I am live on Facebook from Los Angeles, California. Again, welcome. Our topic today is women's right to choose. We will talk about abortions in America. When we talking about women's rights, that means we have the right to choose, and that's what our direction where we're going to go to. So before I introduce my guest, I would like to clarify a little about our guest. This show is under CNRPA, meaning for CNRP America live show, but both of my guests are not affiliated or member of CNRPA. So they are here to talk about women's rights to choose. So the purpose of today's show is about women. We will discuss abortion rights. So I am here to clear the air that both my guests and I believe in women's rights to choose. So if you have questions, you have comments, please add them into the comment sections. And so like I said, I just want to clear the air before we even start our show. And it's been very controversy in America this past, I guess, almost 50 years. And we both, and because of the Supreme Court decision, it affected everyone. So both of my guests have a lot to say. So we will discuss about that. Let me introduce my guest. My first guest, her name is Amy Shea. She is a senior program officer from New York City. So let me bring her out, and she's been here before. So let me bring her out. Jum Hip So Amy.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me again.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm at my parents' house in Massachusetts, so it's nice to be with my family.
Are you on vacations in Massachusetts, or you just miss them and you just drove to see them?
Both. So we came to celebrate, the 4th of July with my parents, and it's my Ye's birthday tomorrow, so nice to see them. And then I have my best friend's bridal shower on Saturday, so I just decided to stay for the whole week. I wish I was on vacation, but I will be working from my old bedroom, so
Still working.
still working.
Well, I would like to wish your grandma, your Ye, a birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Hopefully, she enjoy her birthday with her granddaughter. Amy's there.
Yes, I'm happy to be here with her.
Thank you, Amy. And we have a lot to talk about. We have a topic that is dear to our heart, and we speak many times on this. So we will bring it up again. And like I said, I already cleared the air. So we are pro-choice. And if you are pro-life, please put your question in. Please put your comment in. Both of my guests and I will answer them and we'll fire back. So just want to make sure. Thank you, Amy. Let me bring out my other guest. I have Brittany. I'm not sure you're able to see her. She have a little low signal. My guest is Britney Baker. She is a teacher from Columbus, Ohio. I know she having a problem with her Wi-Fi, but as soon as we see, there she is.
Oh,
Hi, Brittany.
hi. Hi. Sorry, the Wi-Fi isn't the best here. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
How you been?
Well, all things considered, okay, I suppose. In the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty shit time right now, so I'm not sure how well anyone's doing.
Do you mind telling our audience where you at and what's going on? And is Amy, I mean, not Amy, is Brittany enjoying her traveling or not?
Yeah, sure. So I am currently in Jakarta, Indonesia, the capital of Indonesia. I've been traveling this area for the last couple of months, enjoying my time here. Today I actually leave the city to head to one of the islands, so I'm excited to see what that holds, to explore a different environment, but still very much concerned about the issues in the United States and the regressive policies that we see impacting so many people.
Thank you, Brittany, and thank you that perfect timing that we catch Brittany on at the time when she's staying still. So thank you, Brittany, for making time for us. Let me bring
Of
back
course.
Amy. Again, also thank you, Amy, and thank you, Brittany, for making time. And Amy, I know you're on vacations, and Brittany, you both on vacation except me. So I'm jealous a little bit about that, but we have other issues to talk about, and that's why both of my guests, even though they both on vacations, they are willing to. I know Amy is like 9 o'clock in Massachusetts, and Brittany, I think it's 8 a.m. in the morning somewhere in Indonesia. so
Yeah.
thank you both guests for being here. Um, Before I started, let me read a little bit. Okay, let me read a little history. On January 22nd, 1973, the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision in favor of Roe versus Wade. So holding that women in the United States has a fundamental right to choose whether to have abortions without excessive government restrictions, and striking down Texas abortion ban as unconstitutional. With that said, I have a short video clip. I mean, not short, like a 5-minute summary of this, so that way our audience can understand. So since January 22nd, 1973, if we count it, it's 49 years, 5 months, and 1 week, 6 days. So today, so it almost 50 years, and the Supreme Court reversed that ruling. So watch a little bit, watch a 5 minute, and then we'll have both of my guests. I know Amy and Brittany is shopping that time right now. Prepare. So hold on, okay, hold on. And if you have any comment for Amy and Brittany or I, please put them on the comment, and then we'll make sure that we'll answer it.
Hi, we are Warja.
Thank you for joining us on this Friday night on a day that changed America. We're outside the Supreme Court after the landmark decision that overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion. As you can see behind me, demonstrators both for and against the court's decision were quick to react here in Washington and across the country. More than 100 cities have already seen protests or plan to over the weekend. Also reacting, some of the nation's largest companies announcing they will cover employee travel expenses for abortions if they are not available where they live. Some of those companies include Nike, Uber, Alaska Airlines, Citigroup, Condé Nast, Disney, JP Morgan, Microsoft, Warner Brothers, and CBS's parent company, Paramount Global. And we also heard from presidents past and present. President Obama called the ruling devastating. Michelle Obama called it horrifying. And President Donald Trump said this gives the rights back to the states as it should have been long ago. We have a team of correspondents across the country tonight covering every angle of this story. We'll start tonight with our chief legal correspondent, CBS's Jan Crawford. Jan, this has been quite a remarkable day.
Well, no, I mean, Roe versus Wade is one of the few decisions most Americans know by name. And today, the Supreme Court said it's history. When the crowd heard the court had overturned Roe versus Wade, there were cheers.
It took every single one of us, people across the political and ideological spectrums, to make this a reality.
A reality that for abortion rights supporters was hard to believe.
This is a nightmare. I'm 21 and I'm terrified.
In the 5-4 vote, the justices overturned the landmark 1973 ruling that guaranteed a woman's right to abortion, sending the issue back to the states to set their own policies. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Its reasoning was exceptionally weak, and the decision has had damaging consequences, wrote Justice Samuel Alito in a decision joined by 4 other conservatives. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. 26 states had asked the court to overturn Roe. 13 already have laws on the books that would ban abortion almost immediately. The others are poised to ban or greatly restrict it.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people.
President Biden blasted the decision.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
On Capitol Hill, Democratic lawmakers marched to the court while Republicans said the ruling was overdue.
Hallelujah. I woke up this morning praying for this, and I never thought that it would happen.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
It took almost 50 years of annual marches for life, political muscle, and justices with a strong conservative legal ideology. Chief Justice John Roberts voted to uphold the 15-week Mississippi abortion ban, but refused to join the majority decision to overturn Roe or a subsequent 1992 opinion. With the court's newest justices, all nominated by former President Trump, there were 5 votes without him. Republican Susan Collins and Democrat Joe Manchin, who voted for Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, said they were duped, with Collins releasing a statement that they were both insistent on the importance of supporting long-standing precedents. But also a factor, The 2020 death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a champion of reproductive rights, gave Trump his third nominee, who provided the key fifth vote. The three remaining liberals joined in a fiery dissent. Whatever the exact scope of the coming laws, one result of today's decision is certain: the curtailment of women's rights and of their status as free and equal citizens.
And Jana is with me here with more. So Justice Clarence Thomas wrote a separate opinion as well. It has some wondering, is same-sex marriage, is contraception next?
Well, I mean, that's right, because those are grounded in some of the same rights. But the court, in the majority opinion, said no. How could we be any more clear? This case is different. Abortion is different because it involves a human life. Those cases, the right to contraceptive, the right to same-sex marriage, are not being cast in doubt or threatened by this ruling, the court said. But Justice Thomas wrote that separate opinion saying he thought they could be on the table. But that's one justice. It takes five.
But what if the states move on same-sex marriage or to block contraception?
Well, then that would be challenged.
I want to show a video from an OB/GYN perspective regarding this. We watched almost 5 minutes regarding the law, how vote and who picking on the Supreme Court. So I want to be from a personal perspective on how I know Amy doesn't have children and Brittany doesn't have children. So I want perspective on why this is so devastating for us. And hang in there with me. I need to find the video. I know it's tough for you, Amy, to look at that.
No, but it's good. Brittany and I were talking all week, and it's good. We're getting angry, which means that we're going to have a lot to say. And it's great to have the education. So thank you, Linda, for sharing these clips.
Thank you. I just couldn't find it anymore. Let me see. What happened to my watch today? Okay, I found it. Thank you for our audience for hanging there with me. Let me see.
The biggest myth is that pregnancy is a benign condition. Being an OBGYN, I've seen things that I didn't know were medically possible complicate pregnancies. While the vast majority of pregnancies are healthy and uncomplicated, when a pregnancy does become medically complicated, it can be very extreme and, for some patients life-altering and other patients life-threatening.
The things that can go wrong are the list is incredibly long. Well, I can just share what my pregnancy was like. I had HELLP syndrome, which is a very severe form of preeclampsia, where your liver fails, your platelet numbers go down, so you start hemorrhaging spontaneously, and it's associated with stroke and death if not treated very carefully and quickly. So, that's just one of a myriad of things that can go wrong. They include hypertension, which can lead then to preeclampsia and eclampsia and stroke and seizure, diabetes, either gestational or complications of pre-existing diabetes, and then, disorders of the liver, disorders of the cardiac and pulmonary function, and then just delivery itself. So pregnancy is dangerous, especially when carried to term.
I think it's going to make pregnancy more dangerous. We already know that pregnancy in the United States is not as safe as it is in most of the other developed world. We have a very high maternal mortality rate relative to other developed countries, particularly, like I said, for patients of color and particularly for Black women.
The rule in most of the states in the U.S. now would be that you can't intervene until her life is in danger. But how do you define that? Either they're going to intervene early and face all of the consequences I described and not be able to care for all the other patients they have waiting, or they're going to wait to intervene and perhaps lose a patient, meaning that she will die.
I think people want to live in this world where, like I said, they want every pregnancy to be wanted and healthy, and for every person to have the financial and social capital to raise their families in a healthy and safe way. But we're also a country that doesn't prioritize passing legislation to make those things possible. We are a country without guaranteed paid parental leave. We are a country where we were making it political as to whether or not we should have extra capital resources to pay for baby formula. We have a crisis of childcare in this country and the costs associated to it.
This should make everybody feel deep outrage and a deep sense of betrayal. The maternal mortality will go up and quite dramatically. Many, many people will die.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Brittany, for watching and for paying attention to that. Now I'm going to ask Amy, how do you feel when you hear that Friday when they said, we got rumor a month before, but it's this belief that it's actually happened. How do you feel?
A lot of rage, a lot of anger. Betrayal is up there, but we'll get into that. But just like this really profound sadness for women and people who can get pregnant, and just understanding that regardless of whether or not my state will protect these rights, nationally, women and people with uteruses have become more second-class citizens, and I'm frustrated because, there was a plan to overturn Roe ever since the 70s, and it wasn't a secret what the plans were either. Like, we always knew, and so it's like just frustrating that it worked and they did it, and that there were all these politicians that I believed in, supported, and donated to that promised they would protect this right for me and for my kids, and they didn't. And it's sad because to me, right, like my parents and, many of us from Cambodia with Cambodian roots can kind of understand that in my opinion, I think one of the marks of a free country is when people and especially women can make these choices and plan their families. And you mentioned it earlier, Linda, like I don't have children yet. And that I find to be a real mark of my freedom, because it meant that I could go to school and focus on my goals and set up the life that I want to set up so that I can become the mother I believe my future children deserve. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm working on it. And I think I, not just as an American woman, but just as a person, like a human on this earth, deserve to make those choices for myself. So I am frustrated and I am angry. And, it's also just making me think, and I know I'll get off my soapbox in a minute because I want Brittany to speak. It makes you rethink a lot, right? We have these checks and balances here. And you're thinking to yourself, all right, like the Supreme Court is supposed to be the impartial vote or the impartial voice on these things. And it has just been stained with severe partisanship, which is not what it was supposed to be. And it's just making me look at the way we've set our country up so that a president that lost the popular vote was able to appoint 3 judges with lifetime appointments. Okay. Amy Coney Barrett is relatively young. Like, she's going to be on the court for the rest of my life. I'm horrified about that. And I think 2 other of the Supreme Court justices were also appointed by somebody who lost the popular vote. So the majority of our court was appointed by someone who lost the popular vote. I think we need to fix that. So I'm going to leave it there. I have a whole bunch of emotions. My first emotions were just rage and betrayal. I've cried on and off the last few months. And yeah, I'm genuinely just kind of like shocked. I've never lived in a world without Roe. So coming to terms with that is really hard.
All 3 of us have not lived in a world without Roe. So, and it's tough. So Brittany, how do you feel? What are your reactions on that Friday evening?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Amy. It's hard for me to even articulate. This has been coming down the pipeline for 50 years, but to see that decision was still shocking for some reason, even though there were plenty of indicators that it was going to go in that direction. It's still just like, how the fuck can this happen to more than half of the people in the United States? Like, it's disappointing, but not shocking, and that in and of itself is really disappointing. And the issue with the Supreme Court justices having a lifetime appointment is something that we really have to address, because they have so much power. There's no such things as checks and balances anymore, if there ever was, to be honest. I am from Ohio, which is a shit state for so many reasons. Now, me and other people with uteruses, if we need proper medical care in this regard, we have to travel across state lines. And I'm sure the Ohio politicians are already in their office with the NRA and with other radicalized groups to try to find other ways to make that illegal, to cross state lines to get the healthcare that we deserve. So it's terrifying. And I'm a white person, right? So like, I have a shit ton of privilege. And what about people that don't have that privilege, that don't have the access, that don't have the means to traveling out of state, to a car, to a place to stay, to just those social networks that not everyone has. So it's wildly disappointing. I feel absolutely no allegiance to the United States, if I ever did, and it's all gone now. There's no social contract anymore, which is really sad. I've always been an active person fighting for these issues, but I would be lying if I said that I was okay with this, and that I'm trying my best to channel my rage and my frustration into action rather than into despair. And to be honest, it's really, really hard right now.
Thank you both, Amy and Brittany. Let me share my experience. In 2020, I was running for a city council in my district, and the issue that I live in California. California is Democratic, so you would think that no Republican. I just happen to live in a town that is Republican. So when they look at me, the first question they ask, which side am. They don't ask about how am I going to improve the town. How I know. They want to know. They want to know where I'm stand with abortions. They said because in the city I live in does not have Planned Parenthood. Doesn't have that. They don't have that. They said one of the questions asked if want to open up what my position. And from house to house, they want to know where I'm standing with this topic. And that's just how sad it is that after 50 years, we still talking about it, and how after 50 years, people still want to change that. And when what my answer is that anything else, I'm a woman, and the woman should have a choice what she want to do. And I am very sad about it that it's overturned. Um, I don't need to have anything, but I'm really afraid for my daughter. Afraid if she want. I mean, in California, we're lucky that California is you. The state is enabled. It's one of the state that you can have an abortion without being illegal. But at the same time, I feel sad for all the in any girl out there, even though young generations in any state that said if they need one, they should be able to get one. They should be able to say, my health insurance cover this. They should not be have to travel miles and miles on the state line to get this. So that's my experience when it's come to that. And it's just an issue that will not go away. And it's just ironic that people would pick on that topic and people would. And I went to a house. The family is very religious, very like church goer. And because I said that, he said, they live across from me. And they said, I'm sorry, I cannot vote for you. Isn't that sad? That's a topic that they strongly feel about. So if now one of you, if you were to knock on that door, what do you say to them? What do you say to those people that, God is protecting those little baby? What do you say to them, Amy?
I would say, who's God? Yours? May not be the same as mine. I don't believe in forcing other people to ascribe to your religious beliefs. I support religious freedom, and I support freedom from religion. I grew up Buddhist. I don't practice regularly, and I don't think it's fair for people to judge others based on their position in life. You have no idea what goes into these very personal, private decisions that are sometimes devastating. People act like, so something that really bothers me, right, aside from the God will save little babies, okay? There's literally 400,000 children in the U.S. foster care system right now, looking for your support. I held a fundraiser the other day because I, like Brittany said, was channeling my rage into action. So I thought, why don't we try to raise some money? And my target was actually to try to get anti-choicers to pay. So I raised $1,000 to support children in foster care because I was also very tired of people using them as props in this argument. Like, oh, it's for the children. Think of all the children. This isn't a conversation about when you think life begins. That is not what's on the table. What's on the table is women and people with uteruses being able to decide if and when they want to have children. No one is entitled to my child. So people are like, just have it. We will adopt your baby. No. No one is owed a baby from anybody. So, Linda, I'm sorry that you were trying to, better your community and that people really just shut you out just because of that one thing. I think the fact that abortion is such a strong, single issue for people is incredibly dangerous, because I think single issue voters are one of the most dangerous things about our country, is that people will forego everything else for this one thing about you. And I don't think that's right, because like, if you just don't like abortion, don't get one for yourself. That is honestly it. That is it. That's it. So this whole moral high ground or debates around when life begins, like, those are all distractions. That's not the argument here. So it's frustrating when people throw God around like that, because I just think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. And I think it's a cop-out to fight for the unborn, because the unborn, quote unquote, like, they can't criticize you for how you're protesting. They can't actually tell you what they need. So how convenient is it for you to say that you're fighting for the unborn when you actually aren't being held accountable by anybody? Nobody's holding you accountable because they don't exist. So it's a bullshit argument. And honestly, I think people should just really try to keep religion out of it. The whole point of this country is so that we could all practice religions. And in certain religions, actually, the health of the mother is what's prioritized. So I would rather fight for the people who are currently living and breathing earthside with me already. I think that their lives matter. So yeah, I would ask that person, who's God? And why should I listen to your God if I don't believe in your God?
Thank you, Amy. Great answer. Now from Brittany, MSW. Now, talking about childcare, talking about people in foster care. I know Brittany is working, and she been many times translating. She been going. So that's her degree, MSW. So how do you feel from that perspective, Brittany?
It's really troubling to work in this field and work in the community and see the lack of resources, the underfunding of programs, the cutting of social safety nets, and then now this shift to forcing people to give birth when we don't have the social systems, the social networks to support life. People that are already here earthside, as Amy said, are struggling. And to force someone to bring life here when we can't support that life as a community, then that's criminal. I think the courts have been weaponized by radical Christians, and we're seeing the impacts of that every day. I spend a great deal of time working with different NGOs and nonprofits and so-called child protective agencies. And it's really troubling to imagine that more children are going to be forced to live in these conditions in the United States. And as the video brought up, the issue of mortality, especially with Black and brown women. It's disgusting, the number of Black and brown women that die just from being pregnant, from giving birth, and the lack of care that they get in the hospital and throughout their pregnancy is criminal. And yet we look down on other countries and call them developing or shithole countries or whatever. I don't know. To me, the United States is pretty much a shithole country too. So I don't know really where we get off judging other countries and other practices when more than half of the population now doesn't have the right to choose. And as I mentioned earlier, this might be shocking and cause some white people to wake up, especially white women to wake up to these issues. But it's these conditions have been here forever for Black and brown and indigenous peoples. So I kind of forget what the original question was. Now I'm just like going off on a tangent, but I hope that answers it.
You did answer. I just wanted you to use your MSW to explain to us because you are dealing so much with people out there. Like I don't deal with people. I don't deal with children, but you do, because you're a teacher, and so you inside the classroom you see them, and you also out there, like in the Ohio community, you translate for them. You translate for the Cambodian community. You translate, and those because there's issue, and I know many people that work in the working environment that very burnt out, very stressful, and for the last 2 years of the pandemic, they are burnt out. They are really burnt out because the resources stretch so thin. And every time I'm going back to Amy, when every time I see a people sign, I adopt your kid, I don't think so, because there are many. I think I read somewhere over like 500,000 kids that's still in foster care. They're no like waiting for somebody to get adoption, and now it's going to be more kids that are going to be out there.
And you know what's so
Yeah,
frustrating
and
too? Oh, go ahead, Brittany.
no, go. We're probably gonna say the same thing. Go ahead, Amy.
I wonder if we are. I was going to say a very frustrating thing for me too is that there are so many adoption agencies in this country that, first of all, it's like a business, So this adoption, it's a business. And I don't know enough about it to speak on it, but I know that it's not right. And there's so many adoption agencies that refuse to adopt children out to gay couples or non-Christian couples or Black couples or brown couples. And so there's that gatekeeping already. And so it's very frustrating, right, when people want to use adoption as a sustainable solution to unwanted pregnancies and banning abortion. It's like the clip said, pregnancy is not a health neutral event. So for people to say that, just go through the pregnancy, give birth, we will not support you, we will not pay for you, we will not give you parental leave, we will not give you baby formula, we will not give you time off from work. Like, how? This is so unsustainable. Okay, Brittany, go ahead. I want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's funny, the thing about the baby formula. So I'm traveling here in Southeast Asia. I was in the Philippines last week, and going into the grocery, even the small like convenience stores and the marts and things just down the street, like full of baby formula. And I was like, damn, like, should I just like send this to the US? Because the corporations who are responsible for this baby formula shortage sure as hell aren't doing anything, right? So like here, I don't, it's just a little bit like ironic, disgustingly ironic, I can say. But the issue with just saying, oh, just put your baby up for adoption, like that is so troubling to me, because that's also again, forcing this person to give birth, forcing them to make, taking away all options for them, forcing forever body changes on them. And it's again, like not addressing the root issue. Like the root issue is this person doesn't have the right to make the choice that's best for them and their family and their community at the time based on the resources they have. It's putting more kids into this world where we already are struggling to meet basic needs for the people that already exist here. And as Amy said, like most adoption or many adoption agencies are for profit, which is really troubling to me. I can speak from personal experience that the foster care system is riddled with issues, riddled with ethical issues and corruption, and the needs of the child and the woman in the community are usually last considered, unfortunately. So that's not an option. That's not a real option. It's not a sustainable option. It's not addressing the real issues. Yeah, it's very troubling to see this direction that we're going in, living in the 70s again.
I just remember that I forgot to show some of the Amy picture.
My pictures?
Some of the Amy protesting pictures I forgot about. It's like, oh my goodness, I forgot to share, but I want to share something. Let me see. So our audience can know how involved Amy is. I know both Amy and Brittany is very involved.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Amy.
That was pre-pandemic too. So it's just crazy. I think this was when Alabama did their heartbeat bill or their 6-week ban or something like that. So this was, yeah. And been trying to get to more. But, I think I've worked with children my whole life. I've worked with families. I've seen families in mansions and I've seen families in public housing. And I've seen foster kids come in with like bruises on their face and a little cast over their arm, and they need emergency placement. And so, I'm just thinking to myself, this system is already overwhelmed and under-resourced and understaffed, and all of the people who work in that sector, one way or another, is going to get burnt out and jaded. But that is work that needs to be done in this world. And I just don't understand people who would advocate for children to come into this world unwanted. I think that's like the saddest thing. And not only that, but to tell a woman or a pregnant person that their life and their dreams and their goals don't matter. And it's also using like sex and children as a punishment, mostly for women and people with uteruses who, people will say like, well, if you don't want to get pregnant, like don't have sex. And I think that is so archaic. It's 2022. Like, if you don't want to have sex, great. But if you do, I think you should be safe about it. And I think that there should be options for you in the event that things happen, like life happens. And contraception fails too. And abortion isn't just about, oh, this baby is inconvenient for me. 60% of people who get abortions are already mothers. They are already parents. And so these pregnancies could either put them at risk and put their children at risk of losing their parent, or deeply, affect the quality of life that those children and that family has if they have to add another baby, another child into the home. And so, this has far-reaching implications. There's so many Supreme Court cases that were rested on Roe. Even things like IVF, people who are trying to get pregnant, this affects them too. So if people want to play that morality game about freezing embryos and freezing fetuses and deciding which ones are viable and which ones aren't, that is happening now. And they're coming after that too. So they're coming after birth control. They're coming after your IUD. They're coming after all of it because, and someone had mentioned this in the comments, there is an end game to this, and getting rid of Roe is just the beginning of that. Like, hearing people say, let's send it back to the states, that really echoes a time in our country that wasn't great. To me, when people want to limit civil human rights to the states, I have an issue with that. And so the overturning Roe has far-reaching implications. We have not even seen the start of it yet. I am still grieving and angry, but I feel like we have a job to educate people about what it is, and also to make sure that we end the stigma of abortion, because it is healthcare. People need it. It is a healthcare procedure and something between you and your doctor. So I feel like you would never tell someone that they couldn't get chemo. You would never tell someone that they weren't able to get a life-saving procedure if they needed it, and if their doctor said that they needed it. So that's what we're talking about here. I just, I was so much more organized before I came, but I'm like all over the place right now because this is just so stressful. I genuinely can't believe that this is something that we have to put our energy towards. It's so regressive. I'm so fucking tired. And I'm tired of men feeling like they have any fucking idea like what it is
They've been
like.
quiet too.
Oh, they've been quiet. Oh, but they all went out to go watch the Denver hockey team after they won the championship. Oh, but they could all do that, right? Like, so, you know, it's very frustrating to know that men who all benefit from abortion, men who can literally get 365 women pregnant a year, do nothing and say nothing and feel as if they can control me. Someone had mentioned that this is a macro level, like systematic way of keeping us down. And I genuinely think that the end goal is for Black and brown women to die in childbirth, because we know that that's a reality here in the United States. I think that's one of the goals, as well as making sure that there are more white babies for the workforce and for the military. And to derail women from their goals and their dreams, and to bring us back to the time where we are back in the home, you know, just popping out babies because that's all we're good for. I genuinely think that men are afraid that women have come so far, and we're coming for their power, and this is the only way they know how to take it back from us. And I think it's pathetic. But they have also convinced a great deal of women to believe in that too. And I just want people to know that it's not just like young teenage girls who get abortions, or, you know, people who sleep around. You know someone who's gotten one. You love someone who's gotten one. They don't speak up on it because society has shamed us into being quiet about it. But I think that we should speak up more. And I don't think that we should stigmatize abortion. I'm pro-abortion. I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-abortion, because abortion is healthcare and we need healthcare. And if I want access to safe, legal, affordable abortion, then I'm pro-abortion. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm going to listen to the people who are doctors.
Brittany, you want to jump in?
Yeah. Just want to echo everything that Amy said. And I am really disappointed, and frustrated and angry and upset with men, as Amy said, and as you said, Linda. Like, where the fuck are they? Where? Like, in, like, watching whatever sport season it is right now. Like, I am so tired of the people with the power, these men with the power, especially white men, being silent. Your silence is violence. It's disturbing to me. It makes me not trust you. It makes me think that you're okay with these decisions. And as Amy said, men always benefit from abortions. And forever, women and people who can get pregnant have carried the burden of contraception. And that's bullshit. I'm tired of that. And it needs to change. Like, a vasectomy is so easy. And I read something that the rates of vasectomy has gone up in recent weeks, which is great, but I'm not going to applaud you for doing something that you should have long done. And it's much easier. It's a much easier and less invasive surgery than many forms of contraception that women have long been subjected to.
Abortion.
It's easier than an abortion, that's for sure. And many places you can get a vasectomy with no questions asked. Like me, as a relatively young person with no kids, it would be hard for me to get my tubes tied, which is another issue. Many doctors wouldn't do it, especially in fucking Ohio. I would probably have to travel outside of Ohio to get an operation like that, which is criminal. And as Amy also said, it doesn't stop here. This wasn't the first regressive policy that we've seen, and this is certainly not the last. This is just a line of dominoes that's going to go down and have massive ripple effects for many people, especially Black and brown people and people that have been oppressed and intentionally intentionally pushed out of society. So it doesn't stop here. This is just a long line, especially with the courts stacked the way that they are, and the Democratic Party also not doing shit. And one other thing that I want to say is we all have something that we can do in this. We all have different powers. We all have different skills, different talents, different things to bring to the table, and we have a collective responsibility to act in this, even if it doesn't personally affect you. We must do something, but there are agencies and groups and community groups that have been long doing this work. So support them rather than finding something else, some other NGO that's out searching for some grant funds. Like, support the local groups that have already been doing this work, that know how to navigate these spaces. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to put our money and our resources and our time and our voices behind the groups that are vetted and have been doing this work long before it was needed necessarily.
Thank you, Brittany. Amy, what should we do? What should we do?
Yes, thank you for asking, and thank you, Brittany, so much for bringing that up, because I totally agree. Like, whatever your lane is, whatever your skill is, please bring that to this fight. This affects all of us. If you think that it just affects women, you're wrong. It affects everyone with a uterus. It affects all genders, all ages, all sexualities. Like, we need to help everyone. And so there's a few different things that you can do. If you're able to donate, which I know, right, times are tough, gas is expensive, blah, blah, blah. There are many groups on the ground that Brittany had mentioned that have been doing this supportive work for a long time. So there's the National Network of Abortion Funds. You can go on their website. You can look for your state, or you can look for other states. Say you want to support people in the Deep South, right? Because they really need our support right now. You can look for the local grassroots abortion funds in those areas, and you can donate to them, and they will support people with transportation costs, medical costs, and they will also support abortion providers, because that is huge right now. We have a decline in just doctors who will provide abortions, and these laws don't just prevent people from getting them, but they criminalize the doctors and the medical professionals that are able to help, right? So if a woman comes in with an ectopic pregnancy, now the doctor has to spend time on the phone with lawyers trying to figure out whether or not they can do this life-saving procedure without getting thrown into prison for 10 years. So please donate to your abortion funds. Go out to your local rallies, support. I think it's also really important for you to share on social media. I know it may not seem like it's a big deal, but someone on your friends list had a miscarriage or had an abortion or is feeling really lonely right now, and seeing your support vocally would do wonders. And it also allows you to open up conversations with people that may be uncomfortable, but it gives you an opportunity to educate them, because I think there's so much disinformation, misinformation out there that it's truly a disservice, I think, to girls and to women. And I also just don't think that you need to have a personal connection to girls, women, people with uteruses to fight for this. I think it's your responsibility as a human being on this earth, because to see this roll back in America is just going to also be a really shitty thing for the rest of the world. So, and I know the Democrats haven't done shit, but like, you still need to vote for them, please. Please go and vote in the midterms. We cannot lose control of the House. We cannot lose control of the House. We barely have control of the House. We barely have control of the Senate right now. We barely have control of the presidency. So, like, this will not go well for us. And please pay attention to the Supreme Court case that's also coming up next. It's about North Carolina, and it's about state legislatures basically gaining control over everything. And if they're trying to push all of these human rights back to the states, and if SCOTUS rules in favor of that North Carolina case, we're in the shitter, guys. So we can do this. I think that the playbook has been there. So we just have to listen to the activists on the ground, listen to Black and brown women, listen to Black and brown women. that's really my answer here, is listen to Black, Brown, and Indigenous women. They have been fighting this fight. So to people who are new, I'm glad you're here. We really all need to get up and do something. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Amy. Now my last questions. I want Brittany to go first and then Amy, because she's out of breath right now. Brittany, ever thinking of running for office?
I don't know if that's the best place for me. I think I would. I don't know if I fit into any of those molds that are needed for any of those positions, and I don't know if that's the best place for my skills. To be honest, I think I would be too confined, too restricted, and I work best naturally in the community with families. So I don't think that's the best place for me. Unless there's some massive restructuring, which we absolutely need, then possibly in that system. But the system that we have now, I think would probably exhaust me to a point where I'm not serving anyone.
Amy, your turn. Were you ever thinking of running for office?
I go back and forth. There's such a huge part of me that really doesn't want anything to do with that world and that life at all. And I agree with Brittany. I think your hands are so tied. The way our system is structured, you spend most of your time just fundraising and thinking about running for re-election. And so that's why we have so many people who just don't even give a shit about any type of change or impact, because they're just focusing on the next race. So there's that part. There's part of me that really wants to find a type of job where I can like yell at politicians all day. I think that would be really fun. But at the same time, you know, I look to people like AOC, and I look to people like Cori Bush, and I look to people like Katie Porter. And I think to myself, you know, maybe, you know, at the same time, as much as disenfranchised as I feel about our government, I also feel like our government needs to more look like the population. So we need more women. We need more people of color. We need more kids of immigrants. We need people who know America, not the propaganda version of America that has been pushed out to the rest of the world and to us. People who really know what community is and what communities need. Because so many of these people have been in these roles for like 60 years and they have no idea what regular life is like. So I do think about it. While I'm in New York City, probably not, because New York City is its own beast. I'm not a native or I'm still a transplant there. But if I were to ever move back to Massachusetts, I could consider something, maybe school board. School boards are really important. City councils are really important. And at the same time, I also wanted to just make a note that I think that the government is full of people who think that they should be there. And I think that there should be more people in government who, quote unquote, don't think that they fit that mold or don't think that they should be there, because we need more real people there. And like, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could ever make it as a congressperson. And then I'm like, okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene has all the confidence in the world. And there she is going to be a congressperson. Like, fuck that. Maybe I go take her job. Like, I don't know. So sometimes I think about it like that, where I'm like, maybe I just got to do it because like Matt Gaetz is doing it and he doesn't care. Like, God, I just like, oof. But maybe one day. But only if you guys help me.
Oh, we will. We will.
For now, I think I'll stick.
Oh, her signal, her basement signal is going away. Brittany, any last word? We are at the end of our show. Any last word? Any encouragement? Any message that you have not sent out to our audience that you would like to send out?
I guess just a few points to wrap up. Most people in the United States support abortion. You for sure know someone who's had an abortion. Maybe they haven't shared that with you because you're not a safe person to share that with. But absolutely, for a plethora of reasons, people get abortions all the time. We cannot sit by idly while these policies are rolled back. We must do something, especially men. It's not the time to be silent. It's not the time to sit at the sports bar and to check out from your responsibilities. You must stand up. You must do something, redistribute that wealth that you probably didn't earn. And just a reminder, it doesn't stop here. So while this is scary and frustrating, this is just the first step to a more oppressive life for many people. So let's find a way to channel this rage and this frustration, this despair into action rather than having more despair. So thanks for this opportunity to share these thoughts and opinions. It's really important, and we have to continue talking about this.
Thank you, Brittany, for giving your time, and we just got you enough for you before you even move around. And looking forward to be on the same continent as you in a couple months. But thank you so much. I know Amy's gone off the Wi-Fi already, so thank you so much as well, Amy, and both guests. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for showing your voice. Thank you for standing with us. And I hope Brittany and Amy change their mind and run for office pretty soon. We support them. And like Amy, she said, and it's not we want the people who know the town people that in there that working with the children, working with the people. And that's the people that make the most impact. So I am hoping that, Brittany changed her mind and, surprise me. Say, hey, I'm going to do this and this. So I'm really hoping. So thank you so much, Brittany, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, our audience, for being with us. This is CNRP America live show. This is under a show called Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. Today we discuss about issue in America, issue that affect everyone, not just women. So please, if you are on the other side of the fence, drop me comment, and my guest and I will more than happy to answer. And against our topic, women's rights to choose, and both of my guests share their idea, telling what's going on and how they feel, and it's including them. I was very devastated, so I am. That's why it's important that we talk about it today. Like I said, Brittany is in somewhere traveling, and Amy is also on her vacation. So thank you both, Amy and Brittany, for spending the time with me, spending time with our audience. And if you, our audience, if you have any topic you want us to talk about and you want us to say anything about topic, I know we'll tackle gun control next, I guess. So it's very, if you can, in America, you have the right to bear arms, but at the same time, women cannot go out there and say, hey, I want an abortion. So that's something that we're going to talk about as well. If you want to hear any topic, any topic, please drop me a line. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for sharing your input as well. So please join us next week. Next Tuesday, our show is every Tuesday, 6 days per week. We also have discussion in Khmer. If you are able to understand Khmer, if you want to learn Khmer, we have different topic each day, different hosts. So please join us as well. Please enjoy your day. I will see you next Tuesday. I hope that you are being productive this week, and hopefully you are making a difference, making an impact in your community. Thank you, and Jumhip Leah.